The most frightening twins in true crime history. But before we start, please make sure to subscribe to m&rtv and hit the bell so you never miss any upload from us. Also, leave a like right now. It's one of the many questions identical twins field on the daily. Who's the evil twin? The concept of an evil twin is obviously rooted in fiction, but what if it wasn't? The only thing that makes psychics, psychos, and people with natural powers even scarier is when they come in pairs, and when they murder. From the psychically inclined Gibbons sisters to the ruthless Spahalski brothers, these identical twins from true crime history may just be plain evil. The twin foxes, aka Ebenezer Alex Fox and Albert Ebenezer Fox, were notorious twins in the 1800s. They used their identical faces to their advantage by convincing authorities that they'd convicted the wrong brother of crimes like poaching. The twin foxes were convicted approximately 150 times for poaching and constantly bamboozled police with their identical appearances. Ironically, their exploits are the reason police check fingerprints, since even identical twins have different fingerprints. The only thing weirder than homicidal twins is when neither twin is aware of the other's violent tendencies. Stephen Spahalski was already in prison for stabbing a man when his twin brother, Robert, confessed to killing 4 people. "I thought I was the only murderer in the family," Stephen allegedly told the Attica guard who informed him about Robert's confession. Since both brothers ended up killing people, they have been the subject of intense debate regarding nature versus nurture techniques. When Orlando Nembhard was arrested for shooting and killing a man outside of a nightclub in 2011, police thought they'd gotten their guy, until witnesses to the murder made a startling claim. It was Orlando's twin brother Brandon who pulled the trigger. With conflicting witnesses, police were forced to let both brothers go free. If the murder weapon is ever found, the fact that they have nearly identical DNA will surely complicate the investigation and slow it down even more. No one wants to encounter one mafia kingpin, let alone 2. But in the 50s, there were many who crossed paths with Reggie and Ronnie Cray. The twins rose through the ranks of crime together, going from extortion to armed robbery to arson and hijacking. By the 1960s, they'd fully graduated to assault, torture, and murder, and showed no signs of stopping. In gang fights, they seemed to be telepathic, as if they were one, wrote author John Pearson. They weren't one forever. By 1968, they were both in prison. Is there such a thing as an evil twin? The case of the Hahn sisters certainly makes us wonder. They started out as co-valedictorians, but soon after went down a more dangerous path. Sonny Hahn was jailed for stealing a friend's credit card, and Gina stole $40,000 from friends and family. Though both were in trouble with the law, it was Gina who kidnapped Sonny, tied her up, and tried to murder her. Thankfully, Gina was arrested before she could do the deed, and she was sentenced to 26 years to life in prison, after being dubbed the evil twin by the press. When twin brothers are both in a gang, it's bound to get a little messy. That's what happened to Mike and Peter Adewale in 2005, when they both pleaded guilty to a drug-related kidnapping that was investigated by a gang task force. After prison, though, only one of them went back to his life of crime. As far as anyone knows, only Mike has returned to his dangerous old habits. He was charged with extortion and released on bail a few years ago. Peter, on the other hand, has laid low since he survived 26 bullet wounds to his face, torso, and feet. Where to begin with the twins who baffled scientists and psychologists alike with their otherworldly connection? June and Jennifer Gibbons refused to speak to anyone other than each other, earning them the eerie nickname the Silent Twins. They spoke to each other in their own language, which no one else understood. Still, they had an intense love-hate relationship that devolved into a life of crime. They eventually made a tragic pact, One of them had to die so the other could lead a normal life. Hours after the twins made their pact, Jennifer died from a sudden inflammation of the heart muscle. That's weird enough all on its own, but the kicker is that there were no traces of drugs or poison in Jennifer's blood, making her actual cause of death a total mystery. When Jazz and Taz Whitehead were arrested for the slaying of their own mother, a lot of people weren't surprised. The twins, who were also Girl Scouts and honor roll students, were also notoriously difficult to manage. In fact, their mother had called the police on them multiple times in the past for being out of control. Their most out-of-control moment, though, was when they killed their mother and then denied it to police. A few months later, both girls were in prison. In 2009, $6.5 million worth of jewelry was stolen from a Berlin department store by 3 masked men. Despite the successful heist, the men made one mistake. They accidentally left behind a sweaty rubber glove, which was immediately analyzed for DNA, which is where the police ran into a problem. Not one, but 2 names came up in the German criminal database, Hassan and Abbas O. Since the twins' DNA was so similar, police could never figure out who the sweaty glove belonged to and were forced to release them. Video cameras caught a disturbing sight one day in 2008. Identical twins repeatedly running into oncoming traffic in the UK. Both were arrested, and some people believe that twins Sabina and Ursula Eriksson were suffering from mutual delusions. Still, it was Sabina who, shortly after, stabbed a father of 2 with a kitchen knife. Then she hit herself in the head with a hammer and jumped off a 40-foot bridge. She survived and is believed to suffer from a myriad psychiatric disorders. There are more twins, though hopefully not killer twins, out there making names for themselves. In fact, Hollywood is filled with famous look-alike duos, though some are not as used to the spotlight as others. Though both twins tried to make it as models at the start of their careers, Giselle found the most success. Her sister Patricia didn't completely give up though. She actually became Giselle's manager. If you couldn't tell by their almost identical names and appearances, these guys are twins. The Egyptian brothers have much different lives. Rami is an Oscar-winning actor, and his brother Sami is an ESL and English teacher. With Donald Sutherland as their father, it's no wonder both twins made their way into Hollywood. Kiefer has been acting since the 1980s, and his sister Rachel has had a steady career as a post-production producer. Laverne is an actress famous for sharing her journey as a trans woman on shows like Orange is the New Black, and her twin M. Lamar played Laverne pre-transition on an episode of the hit Netflix series. Vin is an action movie star, but did you know he has a twin brother? Paul Vincent chose to stay behind the scenes as a sound technician, and the brothers have collaborated on a few Fast and Furious films. Scarlett has been acting for decades and is one of the most famous actresses in the world. Her brother lives a slightly less public life, though he too has tried to make it as an actor in Hollywood. You could really get sick of someone on a cramped spaceflight to the moon. But that was no problem for twins Mark and Scott Kelly. They're not together all the time, though. Scott once spent over a year in space without Mark. Ashton and Michael, fraternal twins, are extremely similar, except Michael has cerebral palsy. Ashton is a big advocate for cerebral palsy research and is a human rights activist alongside his organization Thorn, Digital Defenders of Children. What if your twin was one of the richest people in the world? Luckily for the Barkleys, both brothers are businessmen worth billions of dollars. They even bought their own island, Brecqhou, a few years back. French actress Eva Green made her name as a Bond girl, while her twin Joy opted for a much quieter life on an Italian vineyard. According to Eva, Joy is still supportive of her career choices. Understandable considering their mother is also an actress. These twins come from a family of entertainers, so it's no surprise that they've had success in the industry themselves. Giovanni starred in Saving Private Ryan and Sneaky Pete, and Marissa was in Dazed and Confused and the Brady Bunch movie. These twins found millions of dollars worth of success on both coasts. Charlotte went on to become a renowned fashion designer in New York City, and Samantha works as a celebrity DJ in Hollywood. These sisters achieved great success due in part to their twin status. They formed a tag team as wrestlers and were some of the most popular performers in WWE. They now star in their own reality show together, Total Bellas. All the youngins out there know Dylan and Cole by a different name, Zach and Cody. Since The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, the twins have both had successful careers in Hollywood and elsewhere. If you don't know the Carter name, are you even a fan of early 2000s music? Aaron was a pop star, and his twin sister Angel appeared with him on the short-lived reality show House of Carters. Linda is best known for playing Sarah Connor in the Terminator films, but what you might not know is that her identical twin sister Leslie also appeared in the Terminator films, as her body double, that is. Remember John Heder from Napoleon Dynamite? Well, he has a twin brother. Dan has been credited with numerous producer gigs and, like his brother, has secured several acting gigs over the past few years. Though they played the same character, Michelle Tanner on Full House, Mary-Kate and Ashley are actually fraternal twins. They made bank as child actresses and most recently as successful fashion designers. Luckily for these two, they weren't really separated at birth. Despite the plot of their hit Disney Channel show Sister Sister, the twin actresses have been working together in Hollywood ever since.